Hey there, fellow farmers, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Farthest Frontier 1.0. Episode 3, Tilling Our First Fields. Alright, another thing that I ought to do pretty early on is, if we go to resources, I am going to want to start making clothing out of the hides, shoes out of the hides, and then, even more importantly, arrows. Because if I'm not replacing the arrows that I'm using, our hunters will not be able to continue hunting. So I think I'm going to put the Fletcher, interestingly, up here, because the arrows are going to get delivered to the storehouse, rather than putting the Fletcher next to the stockyard. So, how many arrows do we have right now? 10? Okay, I think what I'll do is I'm going to pivot. Instead of building the market right now, I'm going to build the Fletcher. Because we are not going to be able to hunt soon without the production of more arrows. We also just produced knowledge points. So knowing that I'm going to be investing in farming soon, I'm also going to get sustainable farming, which reduces the fertility loss of crop planting by a quarter. So I've disabled the production of the market for now, so we can focus on the Fletcher. I come to realize that that is a little bit more urgent. I'm going to hire a third saw pit worker, because now we're starting to stockpile a pretty decent... In fact, I'll hire a fourth as well. We're stockpiling a pretty decent amount of logs. I am going to tell my people to stop getting stones for now, because they're not needed as much as the firewood is, and the logs. So the remaining 8 or 10 laborers are just going to be focusing on log collection to drive plank production. And the Fletcher's half supplied now. As far as food goes, not a lot of vegetables, some fruit and nuts, and then mostly meat and fish, which is the easiest to come by really early on. Are logs renewable? They are. Later on, you unlock the ability to build foresters, which is here, which allows your work camps to plant trees. But trees also just regrow over time on their own. So for instance, these trees are likely regrowing, having, you know, because this is where I was cutting trees initially. I had houses here, so these trees are saplings. And as you can see, they're pretty low yield compared to fully grown trees, which are much higher yield. And when you have a work camp, and I haven't built a work camp yet because I just have laborers doing general labor jobs. But when you have a work camp, you can tell them to only cut mature trees down so that you're, you know, you're efficiently using your natural resources. So both of the salvage sites would be great to go for. And one of the things I would like to do is once I have the Fletcher building up, you can, so regular villagers will have like hatchets or whatever, like default basic material weapons, but your hunters have bows, and the advantage of the hunters is they're able to kill wildlife a lot more effectively when you manually control them. So once I have a better source of arrows and the hunters have been resupplied, I can use the hunters to clear out the animal sites to the north and south, making the salvage sites safe, because the salvage sites have a lot of very nice to exploit resources. Oh, and there we go. We just lost some food to spoilage. 34 greens go poof. Not unusual. Not a concern. Year 4. So population growth has kind of tapered, which is normal. We are still outproducing what we consume, which is good. And we're getting a whole lot of logs, which is reassuring. Right. I see 6 planks being supplied to the Fletcher. So that leaves 4 left. So it's really only a matter of time until that's done. Awesome. Alright, this is warning me that I'm running low on tools. Tools are just like a general resource that you use for a lot of industries and a lot of productions. It takes a considerable amount of research to be able to produce the tools yourself, because you need to get mining tech, you need to get foundry tech and blacksmithing. So early game, if you want to replace the tools that you are consuming, you are almost certainly going to rely upon trade instead. Which means getting a trading post. Which means getting a tier 2 town center. Which we are heading towards. So the Fletcher just got done. With the Fletcher done, I'm going to set some production limits. So I'm going to say have at least, let's say, 150 arrows, but no more than 300. And then for bows, have, let's say, at least 3, but no more than 6. And primarily produce arrows over bows. Now that the Fletcher's done, we'll go back to the market. Build a market. And then once my hunters have been...
Need something?
I've replenished the arrow count. So one has 24, one has 20.
Need anything?
Once they're done butchering meat, I'm going to use them to manually hunt some of the zones around to make the area safer. Getting rid of the boars and wolves, because they pose a threat to everyone else. Oh, and the market's almost done. 42 out of 50 already delivered.
Yes.
Just finish up butchering so I can have you go hunt. Okay. Alright,
what
Petrella, I'm not waiting for you anymore. Here we go. I'd like to clear this salvage site, which means these boars need to go. And if you can range attack a boar from max range, you can damn near kill it before it gets to you, right? Just like that. And that way, a lot of the threat is mitigated using hunters to clear wildlife. And this is about luxury taxes. So luxury taxes is essentially the taxes paid by supplying goods to your villagers. In this case, I'm going to say don't stock barrels, at least not yet. So this hires someone that is a grocer who goes around collecting usable items like soap, not barrels, soap, food, firewood, herbs, not coal, and it produces gold ingots and supplies the local houses with goods. Okay, the boars are killed. Let's kill the boar nest. And then set up this this salvage site to be salvaged. And then these guys are going to go back to their hunting camp. They're going to gather the carcasses of the boar that we killed, go back to their hunting camp, butcher those carcasses, and then resupply their arrows. And once they're like ready again, I'll clear out some more. But yeah, that was good. I know there are wolves over here as well. So if we want to be gathering these willow reeds, I'm going to need I'm going to need to clear wolves out to the west as well. So with a market built, it has a monthly income of 9 gold. And the next task is to work towards a pop of 30 and a town center tier 2. So the current priority is build a town center tier 2 and a trade post. So a trade post is going to allow us to sell what we have resources in excess, and then to buy what we desperately need. And traders will visit us a few times a year, mostly in the warmer seasons. So we have another knowledge point unlocked. I might go for production logistics. Tier 1. Which makes firewood, pottery, linen, clothes, and soap quicker. At the moment, we're only making firewood, but eventually it's going to be useful for a whole bunch of things. Now that we have so many logs, I'm also going to start to plan out farm fields. So, soil mixture of clay and sand. Ooh, you know what? Yeah, no, I'm going to start working towards that. So I'm going to make a compost yard. Compost yard is where you collect, let's call it night soil, which is the kind way to say it. Poo. And I'm going to put the compost yard. So the compost yard is horrible to live by. So you definitely don't want it in your houses. So I'm going to put the compost yard well away from everywhere else. But you don't want it so far from your houses that the night soil collector has to travel an incredible distance. So I'm going to put it here. Then what I'm going to do is plan out my farm fields. So farms, in order to plan out farm fields, they should be where the soil is roughly, as fertile as you can. Your farm fields themselves are going to need to be fenced in, or wild deer are going to eat the hell out of your crops. It shouldn't be too far from your homes so that the commute times aren't ridiculous. So if I have my compost yard here, I'm actually going to start building my fencing before I build the farms. So 17, let's do 17 up and 17 down. Farms are also going to need... So, farms will benefit from having apiaries nearby. Apiaries will produce wax and honey, which is needed for candles and beer and stuff like that. And farmers are required to service the buildings, so you're going to want to incorporate apiaries, but apiaries also have an overlap zone, so they shouldn't be on top of one another. So when you're planning out your farms, you should have room for apiaries as well. So, we'll do... Where is the top? So let me pause just a second and think about this. So as far as farms go, I'm going to keep it at like 7x7s. But then I don't want to build it just yet. So I'm going to have like a forbidden 7x7. Basically, I'm just like plotting, if you will. And we're going to want roads all around the perimeter. I don't know how long this road's going to need to be. Come on. No, stop doing that. So in this case, I have spaces around the inside of the farm that won't have roads, and that's to accommodate apiaries, in other words. And what I like to do is, and this will make more sense once I have the farm built, but essentially farms have a natural crop rotation period of 3 years. And we'll get into that once I'm actually building the farms, but my point is, I like to design my farms to incorporate crop rotation at the get-go. So what I'm doing here is I'm planning to have a much larger farming compound. Eventually, I'm like planning well into the future, in other words. Which is why this is going to be a much larger project than it probably ought to be. So that I don't need to revisit having to plan out my farms. So it looks like we'll have fences like this. There. So this whole thing is the farms that will accommodate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I think I'm going to want a 9th so that they all can be rotated. So here in the middle, I'll build my 9th farm, destroying the fence sites. And I can unpause and start setting this up because it's going to take a while for it to actually be ready. So the 9th farm is going to be right in the middle here. So this road that I queued up, where is it? Destroy. This one should go all the way out to the last farm. Oh, somehow or another that didn't actually register. There we go. And then a fence goes around it. Perfect. Okay. So almost everything that we're building in here right now is just fencing. But this will leave us spaces for 9 different farm plots, which will serve a whole bunch of different purposes. And it's a huge project, which is great, because I have a bunch of immigrants that just arrived that will help with the build pool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my builders up to 6, so there's more people building, allowing me to build this farming complex. So the current priority is Town Center Tier 2, Trade Post, and Farming. Now, with all the new people, the primary concern I have is being able to feed them all while we're working on building farming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow the construction of 3 of the farms. Wild animals will eat crops that you plant, but before you even plant crops, you're going to want to work the land where you're tilling it, removing stones from it, removing weeds from it. And animals won't eat clovers or weeds. So we can, even before we have the entire thing fenced up, there's still work to be done in them anyway.
Work to be done?
Alright, just checking in on my hunters to know when I can send them back out. They haven't replenished the arrows yet, so I'm going to wait. And we are 40 wood planks away from upgrading our town center. Oh, first, fire. So when you have a fire, people will run to the well, grab buckets of water, and bucket brigade the fire out, which is why it's really important to have wells adjacent to pretty much all buildings. All buildings have a chance to burn. Some buildings have a higher chance to burn than others. So saw pits and fire pits and anything that, forges and the like are way more likely to catch fire. And fire spreads, so it's really important to have plentiful sources of water around. So I think we are going to be able to put... Yep, there we go. We put the fire out without any of the buildings getting destroyed. All right, new technology point. So I'm going to do production logistics tier 2. So now we're making firewood 20% faster, or at reduced 20% cost rather. And here is our compost yard. So our compost yard has a monthly cost. But the reason for this is houses generate waste over time, as you can see here, waste. And if the waste isn't collected, the houses become gross and unhygienic and cause disease. So it's really important to have a compost yard built sooner than later so that you can actually keep your disease risk low. And that's why I have taxes. So the market here produces gold, which then we can pay the night soil collector and have a little money left over for other projects. Have the wolves been fought yet? Some of them, but not all of them. You can actually see on the minimap the red wolf head icon. And that's because I've been waiting for
hello there.
My hunters to resupply their arrows. Martin here is ready to go. Where's the other one?
What needs doing?
Is... I'm going to have her go too. I'm grouping both of my hunters together. There they are. They don't have tons of arrows, but enough to clear out another camp. So this is the boar left over from the boar den that we had cleared, which we scared off with arrows. There's one wolf. Shoot. I didn't have a line of sight. Oh, the wolf couldn't decide who to attack, so it ended up attacking neither of us and dying. Love it. And now we're clearing the wolf den, and I'd like to hunt... Oh, there's the boar coming back. Okay, I am not going to... I did see another boar over here, but it probably belongs to a different boar den, so I'm not going to clear that out. But this allows me to also collect this salvage site because the adjacent the adjacent wolf den is gone. I'm not making a high priority because we'll get there when we get there. It's not like the stuff there is going to go rotting or anything like that. I'm reducing the amount of builders I have so we have a greater labor pool for hauling. It's funny to have a drought while it's raining. It's like, drought out. Our firewood looks good. Our food looks okay. Our wood, our stone, our wood planks, everything looks pretty good. They do have a desire for spirituality, which we could supply. The issue with that is it does come with a monthly cost of 4. So I'm going to hold off in building this shrine. And the reason is the happiness of our people is still like 97%. So the shrine only adds 3%, but it costs us almost all of our monthly income. So I don't think it's worth it, at least not yet. Also, I don't really want immigration. One of the reasons why I haven't been building additional houses is we are going to struggle to feed any more people. And if I keep building houses, the houses will get full. So I'm going to hold off on building houses until we have a more reliable source of food, which is going to come in the form of farming soon. And here's the fertility overlay. So you can see I built the farm, maybe not on the perfectly highest fertile soil, but pretty good. Once the farm fields are built, this is the tutorial about crop rotation. But I'm not going to read it. I'll just explain it instead. So, your fields start with a base fertility, which is based upon the fertility that you built it on. So, here might be a little higher. That doesn't really mean all that much, because you can plant certain crops to increase fertility. It also has a weed level, a rockiness level. The weeds and rockiness can be reduced if you just work the soil, like this. Because we built this at mid-autumn, there's almost no time left in the season to do much work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to queue up a bunch of field maintenance. So field maintenance is removing weeds and removing rocks. It's not very rocky, so that's not a big deal. The other thing is soil mixture. Some crops want more clay, and some crops want more sand. And depending on what we're going to farm, we might want to add clay or sand to the soil so that the crops are happier. And I'm not going to worry about that right now because initially we don't even have clay or sand collected to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the assigned farmers to 2 rather than 3. But as you can see, there's a whole bunch of laborers that are also just like sort of doing it. But and the season's already over. So next season, we're just going to work the farm to remove all the weeds and rocks. Oh, we got some cholera. Do you have access to all the crops at the beginning? No. But you don't buy seeds. Instead, you unlock them with research technologies. So, for instance, if you want grains can be unlocked here. If you want fruit trees, you would need an arborist, which is a tier 2 town. So on and so forth. So if you take a look here, grains are locked at the moment. I can't plant wheat, buckwheat, or rye. And then hay is locked because I don't have animal husbandry either. All right, food's pretty low. A lot of that is likely as a result of me using the hunters for killing wild animals. Leaving them alone will help out a lot. Because, like, here's Rachala transporting 125 meat to our root cellar. Basically, I've been micromanaging people to the point where they've been unproductive. So leaving them alone so that they can, work their trade is in my benefit. Come on, move the damn blueberry. Alright, it is too cold for us to work the fields anymore. And the first 3 fields that I have, I'm actually not even... I think what I'm going to do is not work this one at all, and instead work another one that I'll designate now. This one. So it'll be 3 fields, 3 fields, and 3 fields. So they're all adjacent to one another. So what I'm planning on doing is having 1 field dedicated to vegetables, greens, like peas and cabbage, or leeks and cabbage. Another field dedicated to root vegetables, like carrots and turnips, and a 3rd field dedicated to grains, once I have grain technology. And the grains will also be interspersed with hay. I'm also going to want to plant flax at some point. And we'll get to that once I have more, when the field's better established. I'll plan them out according to their soil requirements for sand and clay. But now, it's time to upgrade our town hall as a priority. We have acquired all the wood planks that we need, and all the stone that we need. So let's get a tier 2 town hall, and that will lead to a trade post, which then can help stabilize our food. But as you can see, our food went from 0 to 5 really quick, because essentially all that needed to happen was the hunters needed to deliver meat to the root cellar, and then the smokehouse needed to deliver its stuff to the root cellar as well, because they've been stockpiling. So I wasn't all that worried. I knew it was just a distribution issue, not a production issue. All right, pop is full. There's no room for anyone. Labor shortage. Not worried about that. Whoa, I am really short on laborers, though. Oh, that's because all of these farm fields in queue have, like, farmers designated to them, which is wrong. As soon as it's springtime, I can adjust that.
Need anything?
Can also reduce the amount of people working in the saw pit because because we have our laborers working more on construction projects, we'll have fewer logs available, which means we don't even need as many saw pit workers because they'll be busy anyway. All right. The coldest of the winter, so people are going back to work. Right at the start of the winter, they kind of like turtle up, which is weird because it's not the coldest months. But now they're going back to work and should continue to help clear fields and the like. So I think what the question I have for you guys is, what first crop should I plant? I'm going to see if it even is a choice. So there are different crops will have different temperature tolerances and different stats. So for instance, growing beans is bad for weed suppression, but it actually improves the fertility impact, for instance. And then if you click on it, there's also a soil mixture. So the field that we have up here could be for beans. It's not perfect. Like, we get a little bit more if we added sand to the soil. So beans is a possibility. Turnips, we're really not a good soil mixture for turnips, as you can see. We would have to really adjust the soil a bit. But it's not to say that it isn't a possibility at all. There's peas. Peas we're sort of dead on for in terms of soil mix. So peas would be a good one to start with because we already have the proper soil, sand, and clay mixture for peas. And peas are frost tolerant, not heat tolerant, so we would want to grow them either in the spring or the autumn, but not in the summer because they will die of heat. Additionally, our soil mixture is really good for cabbage as well. As you can see, it's sort of dead on for the soil mix. And cabbage is both heat and frost tolerant, but severely negatively impacts fertility, -4%. Leeks, we got roughly the right soil mixture for leeks. Leeks are also frost and heat tolerant. Very negative impact of fertility of -6%. So our current plots would be good for peas, cabbage, and leeks. And I think that's what I'm gonna queue up some sort of mix where we balance out fertility while also adjusting for growing seasons. If you want to increase your fertility without actually producing yields, you can also grow clover. Clover increases fertility by 3% per year, or per plant cycle. But next year, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spend the entire season de-weeding. Because my fields are so full of weeds that they need to be de-weeded before we can even, make any sorts of farming progress. Once we have a tier 2 town center and we start to get a sand and clay pit, we can then consider some of the other crops that require sand and clay adjustments. increased raider activity. Hostile bands of raiders have been spotted roaming the outskirts of the lands. Be prepared in case they attack the settlement. Got it. Okay, I have no laborers. I think what I'll do in this case is completely cancel out this crop field. And for now, cancel this one out until we've got this one done. Because what was happening is these farm plots in progress were committing farmers to work there, even though it's more of a construction tax to build. So there was just kind of like a mismatch of workplaces. So now we do have laborers because I canceled those other farm fields. And the town hall is 3 stone away from being upgraded. Awesome. Yeah, I would advise building only one farm plot at a time to avoid the sort of like labor ridiculousness. There we go! Tier 2! So with Tier 2 achieved, this opens up a huge amount of services and amenities and just a lot else. So Tier 2 gives you a healer's house, a trading post, which is one such that we want to build pretty early on, a school, a festival pole for entertainment, a rat catcher to reduce rodent spoilage, a temple, an academy for science rate. For houses, it gives you a temporary shelter, which is like an overflow house. It's not ideal. For storages, it gives you a wagon shop, which is required to get clay pits, sand pits, etc. Gives you a granary once you have grain crops in the research tree, and a vault, which is a secure place to put your gold. Not strictly necessary. For food production, it gives you windmills, bakery, barns, goat barn, chicken coop, arborist building. Arborist building is one, once we have a clay pit, we're going to want to build, because it's the way to mass produce fruits, because generally speaking, your farms don't produce fruits. They produce vegetables and grains. As far as resources go, oh my god, work camps, clay pit, iron mine, gold mine, so on and so forth. Apiary, potter building, weaving, candle, soap, charcoal, armory, blacksmith, foundry, and paper mill. And then some defensive structures as well, like a barracks. The barracks has an initial cost of 150 gold. So although I was just told that the raider activity is dangerous, it's not like I have 150 gold ready to do that. Which is why the plan is to invest in a trade post so that we can sell goods that we have an excess amount of for gold. It also unlocks a new research tree. So it unlocks animal husbandry, silviculture, which is for trees, eventually for forestry, disease-resistant crops, honey and wax production increase, wagon carriage increase, market the market square. So the market square is an upgraded market that has a wider sphere of influence, which is really handy. Which we'll get eventually, but because we can't afford to build it at the moment, it doesn't really, it's not something we're going to get right now. A paper press, which increases your rate of research when you have an academy. A healer house, which is a way for you to fight disease outbreaks. The thing is, the healer's house tax burden is quite high, so it's not something I usually rush towards. A scientific method, which is increased research speed at the academy, which we don't have an academy yet. So getting an academy pretty early on is going to be important, but I'm not going to bother with scientific method until we actually have an academy. Ratting dogs, which is if you have a rat catcher, it increases its area of work and effectiveness. Deep wells for faster fill rate, and then a whole bunch of other things like all of the mining, forging, and stuff. So this point I might spend in mining. And the reason being, eventually we're going to want to be able to make our own tools and stuff, and investing the research for mining now will help us. The thing is, I don't know where the raw resources are at the moment. I have deep mines, but they're completely outside of my tech tree. basically you could ignore deep deposits entirely for the first like 6 to 8 hours of the game because you're not even going to be able to get there. In order to exploit deep, it's that tech, which is a tier 4 tech, or 42 knowledge invested. So I've been playing for about 2 hours and change, and I have 9 knowledge invested, to put that in perspective of how far away that is. So we can completely ignore deep deposits for now. So ignoring deep deposits, I do have a regular mine of coal here. So I could build a coal mine there. And what I would like to do, once I have the capacity to do it, is to look around the map a little bit more to try to figure out where there is an iron node. So I know where there's a coal node, and once I have a iron mine and a coal mine, I can start making my own ingots, which is going to be important for tool making. Thank you for tuning in to Farthest Frontier 1.0, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, fellow frontiersmen.